You have 3 minutes, and you can state your name and address if you'd like.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Good evening. My name is Lucy Manning. My address is 21 Horseshoe Drive in Saratoga Springs. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Saratoga Springs, and as a member of their Board of Trustees and Social Justice team, I've been asked to read a statement regarding the recent report from the New York State Attorney General. So the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Saratoga Springs believes every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We are appalled by the behavior of the city officials that were cited in the report released on February 20th. They called for and encouraged behavior and police practice and policy that endangered and continues to endanger the lives and well-being of Black Saratogians and their families, friends, and allies. As long-term allies of Saratoga BLM, we support their right to protest however uncomfortable they may make people feel. First Amendment rights must be protected. The dignity of individuals must be respected, and systems and practices that maintain oppression and racism must be dismantled. Simple human decency requires public acknowledgement of harm done. Simple human decency requires a public apology to those whose rights were violated. Regaining integrity requires immediate enforcement of the recommended procedural steps presented in the report. We must see our city and our city's officials and employees actively, accountably, and humbly working to heal the breach in our community that has been caused by the behavior and actions noted in the OAG's report. We call on you to unequivocally and non-defensively to act to make Saratoga Springs the welcoming, inclusive, and equitable community we know it should be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Sorry, can I just make a quick, brief update? So it seems like some people can see it and some people still cannot see it. I'm getting text messages from both. It is a company-wide Swagit issue, which is a vendor that records our meetings and archives them. I think the best course of action at this point would be to go ahead with the meeting because it is seen by some, and again, some people seem to have an issue. That's all we can do. They are downstairs working on it as we speak.
Okay. You are welcome here.
It is, we believe it is, but you know, like I said, it's a company-wide Swagit issue. It's not an IT issue from here.
Yes. Okay.
5-6 minutes.
All right, so we're going to set up a backup camera, but I think we can continue with this. You have 3 minutes.
Samira Sangari, Saratoga BLM, and I live in Saratoga Springs. The attempt to rationalize civil rights violations and perpetuate oppression through lies and denial is not morally reprehensible, but also antithetical to the values of justice, equity, inclusion, transparency, and accountability that we profess to uphold, Tim. But no, not one, not two, but 3 public safety commissioners time and time again show the unwillingness to change. Instead of resorting to gaslighting tactics, it is incumbent upon us as leaders to acknowledge our failings, extend a sincere apology, and demonstrate a genuine commitment to rectifying the injustices that have transpired. The city has shown its unwillingness to change so much to the point that your little minions, Jane Wahey, your campaign manager, and your blog loser, John Kaufman, trespass and harass members of Saratoga BLM, but more importantly, Skidmore students for not only the first but the second time. They refused to leave our teach-in, which was not open to the public, taking 20 minutes for them to be kicked out, and followed by both Jay and Jay taking pictures and videos of students and writing a blog about it the next day. This is indicative of a broader systemic issue that demands immediate action, attention, and redress. It is unconscionable that those entrusted with the responsibility of safeguarding our community would condone such egregious behavior, thereby perpetuating a culture of fear and intimidation. It is you and everyone else on this council's solemn duty to prioritize our interests above everyone else. Above all else, your mandate is not merely to govern, but to govern with integrity, empathy, and a steadfast commitment to justice. You, Tim Cole, are not only continuing this culture and tradition of making us feel unsafe. You, Timothy, are full of gross inaccuracies. You, Timothy, are woefully incomplete for serving the damn people. You are, in fact, out of order. And point of information, let it be known that the cost of an apology, though it may be intangible, pales in comparison to the price of perpetuating injustice and oppression. Vote yes to the toll agreement, and I'll now wait for the remainder of my time for said apology.
One of the things that we ask you not to do is to talk to individuals, just talk to the entire commission. You have an opportunity here to talk to all five, and it's a unique opportunity with our type of government. So I would appreciate those who are...
I'm just waiting for an
that.
apology at this point. I got 15 seconds. All right.
Thank you. Please keep down the clapping.
Alexis Brown,
Go ahead, you
Saratoga
have 3
Black.
minutes, I'm sorry. You're welcome.
Alexis Brown, Saratoga Black Lives Matter, lifelong resident of Saratoga Springs. So I understand that the Commissioner of Public Safety and some other members on the council had issues with a single paragraph in a 28-page report, but I would like to bring your attention to pages 13 and 14 about a surveillance group that took place on the July 14 protest. Quote, a surveillance group of SSPD officers sought to identify BLM organizers to keep an eye on. The group included investigators Matthew Miller and John Guzik. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but I don't care. 2 experienced narcotics officers familiar with conducting surveillance operations. Throughout this protest, they followed Protester 1. And when questioned by the Attorney General's office, they gave contradictory reasons for pursuing Protester 1. According to Miller, Protester 1 was suspicious because he was standing on the perimeter and not interacting with the protesters. But Guzik testified that Protester 1 would go back and forth to talking to the protesters. Guzik thought that Protester 1 was, quote, trying to evade the police like a drug dealer would. That protester is my boyfriend, and I was with him in the car that night when we got pulled over. This young man, who was only 20 years old at the time, is a beloved student athlete and community member in the Capital Region.
Order, please.
And his treatment, or rather mistreatment, in this city, this unconstitutional, unjust harassment calls into question every case that these officers have worked on in their time in the Saratoga Springs Police Department.
That's the second time.
Every officer involved in this stop needs to be fired immediately. And in my last 45 seconds, SSPD and the commissioners who have led the department have cost members of this community their peace and well-being. This is your opportunity to offer an apology for the harm that SSPD has caused me and my boyfriend. You are all pathetic.
You have 3 minutes.
My name is TJ Sangare. I'm with Saratoga Black Lives Matter. First, I'd like to start by saying how pleased I was to see the Attorney General's report come out, though in the same breath, I have to say how disappointed I was to see the immediate reaction by Public Safety Commissioner Tim Cole. Despite not being a part of this city council during the scope of the report, nor being mentioned in the report at all, Tim Cole's immediate response was to question the validity of what the Attorney General had to say. It is this exact response which exemplifies why the city was under investigation in the first place. Just like the commissioners who preceded Tim, when faced with criticism and wrongdoings, he avoided accountability. Instead of trying to repair the harm done to the community by some of the top officials, he has doubled down and tried to justify the violation of civil rights. Not only that, but coincidentally, his campaign manager showed up to a private Saratoga Black Lives Matter teach-in at Skidmore College, and when asked to leave, her and her husband attempted to harass and intimidate the students, faculty at Skidmore, as well as the Saratoga Black Lives members that were there, which I hope you deal with on your own. Now, Tim, when taking into account your history at the FBI, especially the way you targeted Muslim men, and especially how you were connected to the limousine accident that you don't take accountability for, we do not expect accountability from you. Nonetheless, I'd like to give you the opportunity to apologize on behalf of the Saratoga Springs Police Department and take accountability for their wrongdoings. So for the next 1 minute and 17 seconds, I'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you.
I'm still using my time. Oh, wait, I'll still talk then. I'll still go.
Well,
no, I got a minute, right? How much time is left?
Thank you for that courtesy.
All right, well then, if I'm going to keep going, Mr. Safford, it's really disappointing that you do not choose to denounce Mr. Cole, who's a member of your council, because you are the leader of this group right here, and they should be following you. But if you do not choose to do that, then who is going to? How are we going to expect someone to take accountability when the top mayor does not take accountability? So I will now wait for my apology. Not a staring contest. Yeah, he blinked.
We are here.
I got 20 seconds.
You are here.
Wait, but also
to
when people were
listen
clapping
and
before in
observe.
the public hearing, no one was saying
We're
anything.
here to listen to what you have to
Yeah,
say.
no, and I think everyone's listening. Everyone's listening. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the people clapping and the talking.
I'm not.
All right, but I am. And clearly you don't take accountability. You don't run things, so. Thank you for the time. Tim Cole, you can email the apology if you'd like, tjsangari@blm.org.
Thank you. Number 2.
All right, my name is Adrian Antonioli. I'm a Skidmore student. I just want to echo what has been said, that it is incomprehensible to believe that the current public safety commissioner has found issues in one paragraph of the AG report. It seems like he just glossed over the rest of it or had nothing to say. It is terrifying that this city has a history, a well-documented history, of sending the cops to harass black organizers who have been doing a thankless job, not only standing up for their own rights and their own self-determination, but making sure that people who are struggling to eat in this city have food, who make sure that people who have nowhere to go after school have a place to be, to make sure that they have community and safety. And time again, across governments, Democrat and Republican alike, this city has proven that it is not interested in making sure that these people's voices are uplifted and upheld, but rather they seem to be incredibly interested in suppressing them and keeping them down. There have been countless First Amendment violations that have continued beyond the scope of the AG report. I was in the room during the teach-in when your former campaign manager refused to leave. We demanded that they left, and it took all of us to say that we felt threatened, because it is valid that we felt threatened by your campaign manager repeatedly entering our meetings without our consent. If you have any connection to the city council, to the police state of this city, to the FBI, then it is very valid that we feel threatened and at risk if we are talking about ways to change our society and school and city for the better, and we have people coming in to expose our strategies and to try to infiltrate our meetings. I really, really hope that you take the rest of this minute to apologize, or you don't need to apologize, just think about the apology and
Okay, all right, thanks, Tony. I think, yes, okay, we'll maintain. Go ahead, Will.
Just a quick update. Live stream is back on, so everybody can access it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
William McGillis, Pine Road. I've been thinking a lot about the homeless issue. I think that the most efficient approach might simply be recreational vehicles. Properly set up, they could provide an alternative for people who would be understandably frightened off by Code Blue. And, sorry, I'm not used to public speaking. I believe that as those who were in a position to move towards independence were able to take a different course or perhaps move towards personal ownership of the vehicles, this could allow revenue from the utilities to flow back into the city, and that the use of excess pads and such for tourists could further boost that effect. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Will. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for the opportunity to comment. Amy Durland.
Do you mind speaking into the mic?
Oh.
Yeah, just tilt the
Okay.
mic. Oh, you can
you
hold
hear
it.
me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, all of you. Amy Durland, I'm here on behalf of Sustainable Saratoga. Sustainable Saratoga would like to address the resolution on Commissioner Sangvi's agenda entitled In Support of a Local Electric Vehicle Campaign. Sustainable Saratoga supports this resolution. It draws on NYSERDA's Clean Energy Communities program. The city would be able to benefit from NYSERDA's help and resources. Sustainable Saratoga is happy to be a partner in this effort as well, as we already provide EV information in numerous ways in our programs and media. The Capital District Regional Planning Commission cites transportation as the largest emissions source in Saratoga Springs, and this has implications for air quality and human health. I also wanted to mention that one of Sustainable Saratoga's biggest events, the Sustainability Fair, in which we partner with Skidmore College, will be on Saturday, April 13th from 10 to 3 at Skidmore. At this event, we feature, among many other things, an EV car show, and we'll have a great deal of information about EVs as well as many other sustainability topics. The Sustainability Fair is family friendly. We'll have workshops, indoor and outdoor displays, events, and food. Many of our partners and collaborators will be there also to provide information about their work. The fair is free, although the food isn't. In sum, Sustainable Saratoga hopes you will support Commissioner Sangvi's EV resolution, and we look forward to seeing you all at our Sustainability Fair on April 13th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Welcome. You have 3 minutes.
All right. Good evening. Matt Oil. I'm a resident of this beautiful planet Earth. Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to what's already been said, but I will attempt. I really wish I could say that I was shocked by the contents of the AG report, but I am not, as it has simply confirmed what we have already known to be true, having witnessed the events of July 14th firsthand and witnessed all that followed in the following months, as well as the previous year. And while July 14th was brutal enough to capture the attention of the Attorney General, it was not an isolated incident, but rather one example of the pattern of police brutality that we have seen throughout the capital region and the nation, and one example of how all throughout American history, of how the police have always stood between the masses and their liberation. But to bring it back to Saratoga, the fact that this repression against Saratoga BLM has now been taking place under 3 different administrations here in Saratoga, with a variety of council members representing both political parties, to me perfectly demonstrates how neither party is on the side of the people. Whether it be Democrats or Republicans, the ruling class does not give a crap about marginalized communities or the working class in general. Having said all that, I would like to join my comrades and community in demanding an apology from the city and the county, and I would also like to demand that said apology come not only in the form of words, as tonight is demonstrating y'all don't seem to be that great with that, but also in addressing the concerns of an exploitation of marginalized communities, workers, and youth through not only the recommendations of the AG report, but also through material policy around housing, healthcare, higher wages, and funding services for the community. And finally, on the occasion of her 153rd birthday, I'd like to end with a quote from Rosa Luxemburg. Freedom only for the members of the government and their parties is no freedom at all. Freedom is always the freedom of the dissenters. And if freedom becomes a privilege, the workings of political freedom are broken. And having said all that, solidarity with Saratoga BLM, solidarity with all oppressed peoples from Saratoga to Palestine, and long live the international working class!
All right. Quiet down. Quiet down.
You're pointing at them
Everybody.
while he's yelling. You're pointing at the black people while he is yelling. The whole time. That is why people are angry.
Are you speaking? Are you speaking?
I am.
Please speak. We're here to listen to what
My
you
name
have
is...
to
No,
say.
you're here to quiet black voices and then let white people harass people.
We're here to listen to what you have to say.
This is what I have to say. My name is Tracy Krosky. First, I'd like to address the concerning issue regarding FOIL requests in Saratoga. Despite submitting a request in September, it has been consistently ignored by City Hall. This lack of response raises questions about the transparency and accountability of our local government. Are FOIL requests only fulfilled when legal representation is involved? So if you're requiring me to get a lawyer to get my FOIL request from September, I will, but then it's going to cost you money. Next, I want to talk about the missed opportunities city officials have had. How quick Mayor Safford was to criticize Saratoga BLM when they held a rally calling for a ceasefire in Palestine. Saratoga BLM had a rally calling for peace, and our mayor could not wait to get on social media to call them anti-Semitic. And then, when the AG's report came out, the mayor was silent about the damage that has been done to this community. And then we have the current public safety commissioner, who spent no time reflecting on the report and just came out on the attack. Law and order people love to tell us to trust the process. Saratoga BLM did that, and the New York State Attorney General said that your department violated constitutional rights, falsified reports, and intentionally terrorized and hurt Saratoga BLM organizers and allies. And instead of taking a moment and even pretending you wanted to be better, your response was to insinuate that the Attorney General's office got it wrong. All of a sudden, when a black woman is in charge, you don't want to listen to authority. Your words gaslit the community, and they lit another fire under the white supremacist. But I don't need to tell you that, because I'm pretty sure that was your intention. Just like you knew exactly what you were doing when you sent your campaign manager to infiltrate and disrupt a recent Saratoga BLM meeting. Not only did she and her husband intrude on this meeting that was for college students and staff, but they videotaped college students. I wonder how you would feel if somebody did that to your family. To invade a public space meant for dialogue and then videotape attendees is a violation of trust and privacy. How embarrassing it must be for them to spend 7 decades on this earth, and the only thing they've learned is to use their white privilege to terrorize traditionally marginalized communities.
Thank you.
That was not my time. And how shameful.
Next speaker, please.
And how shameful for you to use
Next
people
speaker, please.
with no morals to do your dirty work. Nothing will get better until the city acknowledges the harm that has been done.
Next.
You know what? You silence people that you don't agree with, and you let people like this go on and on. That is the problem, and that's going to be your legacy.
Thank you. Thank you for sitting down. All right. All right. We are here. We are here to listen to these speakers. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lily Kafka. I'm a senior at Skidmore College. I want to start off by expressing my outrage last week when Tim Cole's campaign manager, Jane Weehay, disrupted an educational event that was only open for Skidmore students and refused to leave multiple times. The subsequent filming of students being called snowflakes by Weehay and then cult-like by her husband, John Kaufman, was an eye-opening way to begin a student educational event about local issues. This further led me to understand the injustices enacted by SSPD and the inadequate response of Tim Cole to the Attorney General's report, who said that it was woefully incomplete and that there were gross inaccuracies, and in doing so failed to address the substantiated findings that were in the AG report. Within the report itself, I was especially troubled by the illegal and traumatizing CPS report that I read about, the illegal surveillance of Saratoga Black Lives Matter, and the calling for combat vehicles to nearly every demonstration. The further silencing and racist criminalization by the decorum and order rules is disturbing. The Attorney General's report clearly shows us the numerous injustices and violations on the part of the SSPD, which has thus cost the well-being of community members. No Commissioner of Public Safety has offered an apology for the harm SSPD has caused. I'll also give you 1 minute and 40 seconds to do so. And also, why the hell can I do this and they can't? That's ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
Order, please, next speaker, please.
Yeah,
Please,
Mr. Mayor, there seems to
Speaker,
be
go ahead.
consistent effort.
You have 3 minutes. Please
Mr.
be
Mayor.
quiet.
Mr. Mayor, there seems to be a consistent effort from a member of the audience to intimidate people and say things that I think it goes against your idea of civility. I believe it does. Can you please address this gentleman here who is
So you could-
protesting by saying boo every
So you
single time?
protest during your 3 minutes, sir, okay?
Yes.
Yeah,
All right, so
so am I.
we are here to listen to the speakers. We're extending the time so that we can do that. We will give you time, and go ahead.
Hi, my name is Isla. I'm a Skidmore student. I want to say that a lot of Skidmore students are intimidated and have experienced police violence in Saratoga Springs at these protests spoken about in the AG reports. I want you all to know that we talk about it a lot at Skidmore. We talk about the SSPD, how unsafe they make people feel, and that we expect action from Saratoga Springs government. Like people have spoken about, last week, Tim Call's manager came to our meeting, which was meant for only Skidmore students, as many Skidmore events are for safety reasons, because there are unsafe people in this community. This was a space of community learning, of supporting each other, and we wanted to speak about the violence that has been happening from police, and she was there to interrupt that. For me, Jane and John's aggression and intrusive behavior was the perfect demonstration of the obstacles that social activists face in this city when they're seeking justice and humane treatment. This was a reality that was further proven by Tim Call's response to the AG report, in which he said that it was inadequate and incomplete, but did not address any of the inhumane treatment. The Attorney General has affirmed what we saw with our own eyes in 2021, that Saratoga Springs and the SSPD violated the First Amendment of the protesters. The report highlights disturbing messages from Robin Dalton, in which she describes wanting to physically assault protesters. The report goes on to recognize illegal surveillance of social activists, targeted surveillance, the shooting of pepper bullets, and arresting of minors. The Attorney General's report lays out the injustice and violations committed by the SSPD, which have cost community members their peace, their well-being, and for some, their freedoms. If you weren't listening before, then you must be listening now, given the legitimacy of this report. The recommendations made by the Attorney General's office must be met to prevent further police violence. Right now, you can take a step in the right direction by offering an apology. No Commissioner of Public Safety has offered an apology for the harm SSPD has caused. Now is your opportunity to do so. Shame.
You have 3 minutes.
Hannah Hurley, resident of the city of Saratoga. I was completely disturbed by the release of the Attorney General's report. For as much as I thought as I knew about the situation, there was so much more that the report revealed. With an almost 3-year investigation, I know that more than 30 pages of information was shared and can't help but wonder what else they would find if they audited every action of our law enforcement. To see that 6 people that I have volunteered with and know personally were arrested based on fabrications from an officer who was selected because he's a, quote, go-to guy who would not push against orders, end quote, makes me more ashamed than before to say that I live here. I encourage everyone to read the full report for themselves. This was one instance of wrongdoing which was exposed, with the New York State Attorney General only opening the case after the media's reaction and countless hours of advocating by BLM supporters. It bothers me to think about the number of interactions that the police have with others in the community that do not have this outreach or would not have received this media attention. They will never have their day of justice.
there's no meaningful punishment or attempt to make sure that these crimes detailed in the AG's report do not happen again. Just 3 months into office, Tim Cole's reaction to the report reveals his intention to not engage with the findings of the report or correct and protect the integrity of the SSPD. The offending parties named in the report, the people with bloodlust, the people that are willing to lie at the expense of others to fit their own narrative, they do not exist in a vacuum. They're our neighbors. They hold political power in the city. They run for office. They've held office. They're involved with the business community. They advise our nonprofits. The poisonous corruption that seeps from them damages every single member of the city, and they're not harmed by any of this. It is the city that is paying their legal fees. It is the members of the community that are footing the bill for individuals that did wrong and won't even fully cooperate with the investigation. The public safety budget has continued to decrease as this investigation has gone on. For 2024, the public safety department made up 59% of the $62 million budget for the city of Saratoga Springs. That's $36.1 million. Shane Crooks, the police chief who retired in June, that was named in the AG's report, was paid $144,000 for half a year of work. For comparison, in 2020, the United States Census Bureau reported the median income, and this might be shocking, of someone in the city of Saratoga to be $42,000. This is not enough to comfortably live in Saratoga year-round. I want money that is in the public safety budget to go towards public safety. To me, that means guaranteeing housing, food, water, healthcare, employment, the things needed to create a base level of safety for our community. A community that is so solid we don't need to be so heavily policed. A community where those of us who are by and below the $42K median income can live peacefully in the city without fear of losing our houses and not being able to afford groceries. And I'm not asking just for you or you to apologize. There's 7 of you. No one's offered any apology to them.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Lucia Ramnarayan. I'm from Massachusetts and go to Skidmore College here in Saratoga Springs. I'm here today in solidarity with Saratoga BLM, and I'm here to take a stance against the racist vilification and criminalization of Saratoga BLM. I would like to bring to the Council's attention the events of July 14th and September 7th as examples of SSPD's wrongdoings against Saratoga BLM. On July 14th, SSPD infringed on the public's right to peacefully protest by attacking peaceful protesters and making unnecessary arrests. On September 7th, SSPD also made unnecessary arrests against the Saratoga BLM members and did so in the presence of the family's children, which how dare you? And without providing any reason for these arrests. I would like to end by saying that the SSPD and the commissioners who have led the department have cost the members of this community their peace and well-being. This is your opportunity to offer an apology for the harm the SSPD has caused, which I really believe is the least you can do. Oh, wait.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, everybody keep calm. There's no talking, please.
Hello, my name is Emily, and I'm a freshman at Skidmore College. At Skidmore, we have learned about the struggles that the Black community has historically faced at the hands of the American government. We also have learned that these challenges have in no way been alleviated, and I believe it is because of purposeful actions like the ones committed by City Council and SSPD that this is the case. I have never been more disgusted in law enforcement than when I watched footage of the SSPD's actions on July 14th. My disgust was multiplied by the response of the city to Saratoga BLM's rally for a ceasefire. Conflating a rally to end the death of brown children in Palestine with support for Hamas is shameful, inaccurate, and shows just how far you people will go to villainize marginalized groups in the Saratoga Springs community. The refusal of the council to even just apologize for those actions is something that should weigh on the conscience of everyone in this room who claims to believe in American democracy and the First Amendment. If you claim to represent the people of Saratoga Springs, but only extend that courtesy to police members and white community members, you have killed us, the students, our dreams of a more equitable and sustainable future for America. The first step towards remedying the harm your actions have caused the Black community would be an apology. If you truly believe in the values your office claims to uphold, you will have no problem taking that step, and I would like to use the remainder of my time to wait for an apology.
I appreciate everybody staying calm. We get through this.
Excuse me, I would just like you to know that your silence speaks volumes to us, to all of us, and I'm incredibly disappointed
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It's fine. I'm incredibly disappointed just to exist in this city with a council like this and Free Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you. We're here to listen to the speakers. Go ahead.
I'm waiting for my time. In the words of the great Fannie Lou Hamer, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. For 4 years, and quite frankly, even longer, Black members of this community and their allies have been asked to prove that there has been problematic treatment of Black people and their allies in this community. It is not the words of the AG's report that proves this mistreatment. It is the screenshots of the text from our elected officials that is the proof that you all have asked for. I'd like to say all of this report was problematic, but what was most problematic for me was the attempt at family separation. The tactic of family separation has been used against Black people since Black people were brought to this country on slave ships. Family separation is a tool of white suppression. The system may be updated, but calling CPS is no different than slave owners selling away their slaves' children as punishment. And some of you may think that this is extreme, but if you don't want to be compared to slave owners, don't use the tools of slavery. To be clear, the harm to these children came not from their parents participating in a protest, but in the threat of being separated from their families. The members of this council, especially the newest members, ran on a platform of civility. Nothing about this report is civil. The language in this report I can't repeat because by your own rules, I could be subject to arrest. Yet, before this report even became public, the first thing that was done was an attempt to discredit it. And you weren't even honest about who you were critiquing, because heaven forbid we use the word "and." Your statement could have read that SSPD and the Saratoga County Sheriff's Department violated the civil rights of protesters. The first thing that should have happened was an apology. Apologies cost no money, but apologies are absolutely needed to make progress. And I'll take my last 30 seconds to hear that apology.
Welcome. It's been a while.
Yep, sure has. Lexus Figueroa, Saratoga Black Lives Matter. For one, we have people who are commenting on things and saying that people are like people. Once again, nobody in this audience has experienced the things that I've experienced from SSPD, so nobody's going to tell me you have my experiences. So nobody's going to be so angry because you're here with a purple shirt or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? You want to be racist. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. Once again, those were my kids who were attempted to be taken away from me, my family, my kids, the pain that I have felt. So when people come here for short-term rentals and they're angry and they're allowed to show their anger, this is the first time I've ever seen you, Mayor, ever get hyper, a little bit hostile. I've ever seen you bang your gavel so hard and really be so angry and stare somebody down. Only time I've ever seen it is this time. You want to know why? It's the first time that Saratoga Black Lives Matter as a group has been back here. And we haven't been silenced. We haven't been gone anywhere. We've been doing organizing work as organizers do. We've been doing more than what you say what we do. We've been doing for the community more than what you do. I've never seen you feed the community before. I've never seen you feed the community before. I've never seen you feed the community before. What resources have you given the community? And let's not forget, I'm not worried about no fucking apology. I'm coming to take millions of dollars from the city. So all these people here that think it's funny to laugh about what Saratoga BLM went through, they're not going to be laughing when their taxpayers' money go to put my kids through college and my grandkids through college. They're not going to be worried about that. They're not. Nobody's worried about that. So we don't expect you to admit to your wrongdoings because it takes a man to do that. We know that. I don't expect for you to accept that David Bushin, your boy, who's named in the AG report as a conservative representative of the party, your peoples, as well as your other peoples, and Matt Kelly, all these people are mentioned in the report. Had this report came out before November, and you said that the AG was for us. If the AG was working for us so much, she would have had this come out before November, your ass would have never been elected. Because your reaction to this is disgusting. It's clear as day that it says in the report that SSPD, as well as other agencies, decided to come through in riot gear, horses, and shoot pepper projectiles at protesters who are peacefully protesting. Hence why I'm suing you for $750,000 now. So I know you were trying to save face for the city so you think you were going to win the case, but you're not. There's also other people who are here on the county supervisors who said that they never thought the report would ever come out. She said that. You said, you don't even know if the report would ever come out. I don't think a report would ever come out. Well, the report came out, and this as well as only an initial report. This is not the final report from the AG, nor the final recommendations or the demands of the Attorney General's office. And it goes higher than the Attorney General's office. There is something that's called Department of Justice. I think you know about that, man.
Next speaker, please.
We're going higher, buddy. We're going higher. We're going higher. Everybody keep on speaking. Everybody keep on marching ahead. Keep on speaking, keep on marching ahead peacefully as we always have.
Black Lives Matter, Justice for Daryl Mount, ACAB, fuck 12, and no police are going to scare us. If you haven't learned by this report that no arrest is going to scare me, no microphone is going to scare me. I can grab a microphone and speak if I want to. It's called freedom of speech. Thank you. Give me another charge, I'll be...
So I just want to know, is he like a paid actor? Because every single time you tell him, like you just do like a little like umpire move to like just tell him to be quiet. And all of a sudden he's quiet. But any other time when somebody's talking, he's allowed to talk, right? He's allowed to boo, he's allowed to do whatever, right? I just want to make sure. Because I am paying attention.
We aren't here to answer questions. Please.
No,
We're here to listen.
that's
we
a
are
comment.
here to listen to whatever you have to say. Go ahead.
Okay. Well,
You have 3 minutes.
when you're ready to show me the time, thank you. Appreciate it. So I'm honestly just going to say exactly what I said at the press conference, because I know Tim likes to say that things tend to be, reports are gross and, what was the other word? Willfully incomplete and inaccurate. But I will tell you that, my self-report, it's not gross, it's not inaccurate. What's in my self-report is gross as hell. So, I would like to start by saying that I am a lifelong resident of Saratoga Springs. I was born in Saratoga Springs Hospital in April 1996. I went to preschool at Dorothy Nolan in 2000. I went to Lake Ave Elementary School from 2001 to 2006. Maple Ave Middle School from 2007 to 2009. Saratoga Springs High School from 2010 to 2014. With that being said, I will never be called a grifter. I'm not someone who comes to this town for 3 months out of the year and decides that I'm going to go downtown and piss and be drunk all over town, and that's their contribution to your tax-paying dollars. When people ask me why I do the work that I do, I say it's because it's hard. I could go to any city in America and do my activism work. I chose Saratoga Springs because it's my hometown and my city. I know if I can make change here, I can make change anywhere. I can do it anywhere. Robin Dalton sent violent and threatening messages to Shane Crooks, threatening to punch me in my fucking mouth, as well as threatening to punch and kick Molly Dunn repeatedly in the fucking mouth. You think punching me in the mouth is going to shut me up? I don't know if you don't remember April 2021, Devin Anderson, Arch Street, decided to use my own megaphone against me. And guess what? To this day, I still use that same megaphone. You will never silence me. Robin quickly changed her words and said it was out of stress and anger. Yet, when I speak too loudly, my voice is criminalized with charges of disorderly conduct. My yelling scared you, but your threats didn't have the same effect on me. You call us thugs and you say we are violent. You are the violent ones. Specifically for Robin Dalton, I know you're not here, but I'm sure you're somewhere and you'll make a podcast about it later. You were in charge of public safety of this community, and you did nothing to keep your community safe. You were caught making direct threats towards community members that you were tasked with protecting. On September 7th, I watched my niece and nephew be traumatized by SSPD as they were violently ripped from their mommy, watching as she was assaulted.
Your 3 minutes
I don't
are up.
care. Watching as she was assaulted
If
and
you
their
do
aunt
not-
was violently arrested.
if
I
you
will
do
never
not
forget the sound of my nephew crying and screaming
I will.
for his mommy. Listening to my mommy cry as she watched her youngest child be arrested in
I'm
front of her
asking you
eyes.
to
I was
leave.
denied medication and placed in a cell for hours without access to food or water. I was accused of being an unfit parent to my niece and nephew because they assumed they were my children. I was
I was embarrassed
Miss-
on September 8th when
You
my
are
name was
out
blasted all
of
over the news.
order.
Just days before I started a new job, having to explain to them that I am not a violent or dangerous person. The ripple effect of July 14th and September 7th was a decline in community involvement in protests
please.
due to the
Sit
fear
down.
of being
Sit down.
arrested.
Sit
The
down.
Saratoga Police
Sit down.
Department has felt justified in their actions
right, so
to continue
you
to
are out of
scandalize my
order.
name, my brothers, and Saratoga BLM.
we are
I am
going to
happy that this
initiate-
report has shed light on the
I am
corruption
going to
within
move-
Saratoga Springs and the Saratoga Springs
going
Police
to
Department.
move
Whether
that
this
we
report
adjourn
is
the meeting.
whether this report is accepted in the court of public opinion or not, the AG's office, the state of New York, and the supporters see that Saratoga Springs and the Saratoga Springs Police Department has violated our civil rights. No commissioner of public safety has offered an apology for the harm caused by SSPD. Now is your opportunity to do so, and you've had over 30
I am
minutes
making a
worth of
motion
time to do so, and that's absolutely
To
disgusting.
call a recess. That is the motion. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Is there a discussion? Everyone in
I think
favor?
we're okay to continue. I don't think we need to.
My name's Gio.
discussion
I
of
live
what?
on stolen land. In the past couple of years, we've seen NYPD apologize for their systemic racism. We've seen the city of San Francisco apologize to black residents for decades of racist policies. The APA and the NIH have both apologized for racism in their institutions and pledged to do better. Such apologies are useless without action toward change. However, they are also the step that must predate any attempts at growth. There are 3 reasons to apologize. 1, you made a dick move and caused suffering for which you feel remorse as a human being with a conscience. 2, you unintentionally hurt someone and feel remorse as a human being with a conscience. 3, you recognize that suffering occurred, and because you are a human being with a conscience, it troubles you. I don't expect the man who cashed in on post 9/11 Islamophobia to understand that. As he often reminds us, Commander, brother, Tim Cole worked for the organization that sent Martin Luther King letters telling him to kill himself. So no evidence of humanity or a conscience there. But the rest of you, your actions can make Saratoga Springs a more inclusive, safe place for your heirs. Your failure to act will result in future generations inheriting this work and the legacy of shame, knowing you could have done better in this critical moment, and instead you chose white supremacy. Your actions must begin with an apology to Saratoga BLM, their families, and all BIPOC people who have been harmed by policies in Saratoga Springs, from the genocide hidden by your racist fucking mural to urban renewal to the continued racism in your police department. Oh, wait!
Sam,
No. All right, just calm down.
All right, so shut the fuck up.
Stop. Sam. Stop, Sam.
You keep that pig in that corner. I saw that. Keep that pig in that corner. Get back to your corner, pig.
Move back, please. Go ahead. Move
You're all
back.
disgusting.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Erin Leary, and I live at 8 Phyla Street, which might be better known to many people here as above the cigar shop on Phyla and Broadway. And coming here tonight, I came here with my son, I was in the elevator with friends from actually both sides of this room, and it's kind of interesting. I've written something, but it's kind of interesting to hear people talking about property rights and also the right to speech. And I really think that the issue here is a repeated case of government overreach that harms the rights of individuals and, in essence, harms our community. And the difference is that there are regulations on property throughout the country, and that is a matter of coming to terms on what that legislation might look like. But there is no scenario where there is legislation that can be repairing what was done in terms of civil rights violations. And so I want to speak tonight directly on the Attorney General's report, including the shameful treatment of protesters and the shameful conduct of our elected officials. Now, I understand that there are legal cases before the courts and likely more to come. We can consider those the city of Saratoga Springs versus whatever individual. And the problem with that, really, is that these pending cases are exactly because our city, the state, if you will, acted against individuals for exercising their rights. Rather than address the substance of that Attorney General's report or do the work of rectifying repeated failures, the response was to discredit, a smoke and mirrors campaign to cast the entire report as false based on the structure of a couple of sentences in the introduction. The errors in the Attorney General's report, there are some. The press conference, that infamous press conference, was after a stabbing, not a shooting, for example. There were, in fact, Back the Blue protesters still present on July 30th, 2020. I know I watched their feeds in order to see why sirens and military vehicles were outside my children's bedroom. And I would like for people to think about this sort of bridging effect that could happen if you considered a tactical vehicle in your neighborhood and having to explain to your children on July 14th, 2021, why people are in riot gear outside of your home after coming back from the ballet. Most of this discussion has centered around these four sentences, really. And the objection to these sentences was that SSPD did not provide the MRAP. The sentence of that structure does not suggest that. And that they did not shoot the pepper balls. The structure of that sentence also doesn't say that. Though I suppose one could infer the possibility.
Thank you.
Rebecca Allen Lynch, Saratoga Springs. I will continue with Aaron's comment. I support revisions that make language clearer and hold people accountable for their actions. The Sheriff's Department brought the MRAP. The Sheriff's Department, and perhaps the state police, who knows, fired pepper projectiles. But such corrections do not change the substance of the report. In fact, they try to pretend that the public safety and police leadership did not, in fact, insist upon the righteousness of their actions. From a press release from our then Commissioner of Public Safety, Chief of Police, and Assistant Chief of Police, the Saratoga County Sheriff's Department MRAP vehicle, which was utilized during the evening of July 30th, 2020, is not a tank, but a light tactical vehicle. MRAP is short for Mine Resistant Armored Protected Vehicle. It was there, and its presence was deemed by those three to be, quote unquote, paramount to the safety of the Saratoga Springs community. On pepper projectiles, quote, the Chief of Police authorized the use of pepper projectiles. The 2020 protest was context, background. It was not the substance of the report, the facts of which can also be verified. Politicians with departmental oversight, legal and or practical, lobbied for the arrest of individuals for their own interests and political expediency. It seems like at least one official may have filed a false police report or otherwise unknowingly drove into a protest 30 minutes after texting about said protest. Police filed legal affidavits in which they claimed things that simply did not happen. There was a coordinated effort to criminalize behaviors that were unpleasant or unkind to those in power. Was it intended to incarcerate people? Don't know. Was it intended to strike fear? Was it intended to punish them with the time and money needed to go through the courts? Maybe. Was it intended to silence? Definitely. Was it unprofessional, unethical, amoral, and anti-democratic? Undoubtedly. I would ask that we all sit with what this means when individuals with power wield it to silence dissent, when they fabricate cases and use selective prosecution to target political adversaries, when our elected officials will not hold themselves and others accountable for undermining our democracy and the humanity of others. I will hold the remainder of my time for us to reflect and, who knows, maybe apologize.
Thank you. Next speaker. Just move up a little bit to the microphone so we can hear you.
Gabrielle Elliott. First, I want to start by saying shame on you to every single city council member sitting here in front of me right now, to the chief of police that was involved in 2021 and so on. You have not yet to acknowledge the trauma and hurt that you have inflicted upon myself, my family, and innocent people that simply want positive change in our community. I want to say thank you to the attorney generals for taking the time to actually fight the bigger fight that has never been done in Saratoga ever. Every rock that was turned just revealed more maggots within our local government. September 7th is a day that will never leave my memories, my kids' memories, my family's memories, and so forth. Shane Crooks, Meg Kelly, Robin Dalton, Rob Argo, whoever the fuck it is, have all used their position and power, political, to attack myself, my family, my kids, and everyone else involved in this movement. Not only that, every single one of you, still to this day, I feel has abused your power in some sort of way by using your power to apologize, bridge the gap, as you would say. But for the remainder of my time, since you would like to cut Chandler off when she was speaking about my children being traumatized by your police department, I would like to remind you my children's cries while they were being ripped from me. Because I want you to think of your children in that position and what you would do if you would sit back and lay back and let the government just do whatever it is.
We want to hear the speaker.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit. This is my child, and you have my son in there. You got both my kids in there. You got both my kids in there. You got 50 like that? Let go of her. Let go of her. She got a baby over here. She got a baby over here. I can't even get anything.
We want to hear this.
I would love for you to hear this.
I know.
It's online. You can see it.
Yeah.
This is what the Attorney General's reviewed. When they made false CPS reports to have my children taken from me in my home, they are in a well-maintained home. They are well taken care of. They are spoiled. They love their mom. They love their dad. There is no reason for this city officials to do what they did in the police department by any means. It is disgusting.
Thank you.
I will use my time accordingly. And I would prefer you not to say thank you because that's more hurtful.
No, thank you for speaking out.
I'll use my 10 seconds still. I'm hoping for the best here. I don't know. Well, I hope your children one day look up to you and see the shitty fucking person you turned into.
Order. Next speaker. Quiet, please.
Mayor, may I grab a seat for this comment?
We're trying to hear you.
May I grab a seat for this comment?
I can't hear you.
May I grab a seat for this comment?
Do you want to sit down?
Yes, you can sit down.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Savage. Civility. That's what you ran your campaign on, correct? Mayor, are you aware of the person who filed those fake CPS reports? Do you know who that person is?
We're not answering any questions.
She is your campaign manager, Meg Kelly. Civility. There's still a picture of the two of you on your website. You might want to update it. Police Lord Howard drinks with Robin Dalton at 9 Maple the other week. Civility. The FBI isn't the only one with eyes on these streets. You realize that Robin Dalton, who also first worked on your campaign, then Meg Kelly came and worked on your campaign, and then this Jane Wee, who is infiltrating Skidmore Teach-Ins, was working on your campaign. And you also ran on civility. You realize that Robin Dalton said she wanted to find Molly Dunn and kick her in the fucking mouth repeatedly. Civility. Robin Dalton wanted to punch Chandler Hickenbottom in the face. Civility. Will Stewart's and Mr. Dake be providing free ice cream tonight? I will wait and maybe give birth to this child for your apology. Don't arrest me if my nipples start leaking. You should be ashamed of yourself. Apologize to this community before you.
Thank you. Welcome.
It's hard to follow that. My name is Alexei Ziak. I'm a lifelong Saratoga resident and a Skidmore
Speak
student.
a little closer so we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I think so, yeah.
I was at the teach-in that was infiltrated by a former FBI agent. Even in a place of learning and community, it is not free from white supremacy or threats and intimidation. The over-policing of black and brown bodies in the city is abhorrent and disgusting. The fact that white supremacist groups like the Proud Boys feel safe and are safe to walk the streets of the city without police intervention because they are emboldened and is a show of who this city is and who they side with, and that makes me feel ashamed. The militarization of police in this town and across the world should scare every single person in this room. The things exposed in the AEG report brought tears to my eyes, especially considering the CPS case that was open against people in this room who you have not yet apologized to. And I encourage everyone to read it and digest what was said. I remain in silence for the remainder of my time for you to offer an apology. Shame.
Welcome, Holiday. Holiday, you'll be the last to speak. Welcome.
Holiday Hammond, Saratoga Springs, New York. I am embarrassed, angry, and heartbroken. Earlier, at least one person talked about your silence speaking volumes. It's incomprehensible to me that you can listen over and over again to people's experience and their response to both the Attorney General's report as well as the events over the last few years. I don't have an ounce of the courage that many of the people in the room have. I was there on July 14th, and facing police and riot gear, I nearly blacked out. It was so terrifying. And I stepped onto the sidewalk because I thought if I passed out, I'd get trampled. And I couldn't believe it was happening. I wanted to stand there as an ally, to say, I stand with you, and I wanted to help be a shield, but I couldn't. I feel like you're denying people's humanity. I don't feel, you are. And as the leader, all of you, as the elected officials and leaders of our city, we need you to lead the community. The horrible responses of past and wannabe officials, wannabe elected officials who couldn't make it, and past ones, is just more divisive. And you can show another way. We need you to show another way. And just again, not to speak, not to acknowledge, not to say, this is a fucking mess. We're not sure how to rectify. We don't know how to make things better, but we hear you, we care, and we want to work on this. That isn't hard.
Thank you.
So please do that, and do that soon. Things are only getting worse.
Thank you. We'll move on with our business.
Mayor Safford,
Would you like to respond?
I have something I would like to offer, sir.
Go ahead.
When we received that report, Ms. Hammond, your words, you took them right out of my mouth. I was angry. I was sad. I was embarrassed. Our city had been harmed again by civilian leadership in this form of government. Those actions that are represented in that report, I don't care where the commas in the sentences are. It's reprehensible. It is disgusting. It is not acceptable as conduct in civilian life. Our job is to serve and protect. In its most foundational element, our government is here to provide services for the community for public safety. The trust of our community has been repeatedly broken by the Department of Public Safety. This evening, this evening on the mayor's agenda, we will be moving forward with a tolling agreement whereby we will take responsibility and accountability for the actions that happened prior to our service for this city. We will work with the Attorney General to make the necessary changes within our policy and procedure. We will do the work to help prepare our community. I promise you that. And I am sorry for what you had to deal with.
Thank you,
This is-
Commissioner.
I'm
On with our
sorry,
business.
this is not just something that we are working on, we are actively working on this. We are listening. We do hear you. We do understand what you have been through, and we accept the AG's report. It may not be perfect. Maybe there's a comma issue, but we understand what you're saying, that the essence of the report says a lot more than just that piece. And we are, I know we're talking about the tolling agreement. I also talked about IT, and one of the issues that was consistently in the AG's report was that there were officials, elected officials, as well as city staff that erased messages or deleted messages or did not provide messages. One of the things that we have done is put together a policy, and we have bought a program that automatically archives the messages. So this will no longer happen. So this is not just empty words. We are putting policies in place to move our city forward. And you know, the commission form of government is a terrible form of government, but in our limited roles as accounts commissioner or finance commissioner, we are doing the things that we can as best as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a comment as well?
Yes, you can.
So I just want to be clear. When the report was provided to me beforehand, there was an allegation of misconduct. And if you're going to make an allegation after months of misconduct against a police agency, you need to get the agency correct. And I sat down with the Attorney General's office, and they made the correction that, in fact, it was 2 other agencies that fired pepper balls, as well as having an MRAP there. Yes, let me, please. Yep. Yes.
We listened to you.
I listened. I just had further comment. And
listened to you
I didn't have time to review. That's how the report was presented to me. And Commissioner Moran agreed with me when I sat down in the room with him and said, this is wrong. And he said, yes, you need to correct that as well.
That is correct.
That is, so it was not, what I'm trying to tell you, it's not commas, it's not hyphens. That was a material, it was material.
We listened.
And I will say this as well, and I've spoken to all the commissioners here. We need to focus on the recommendations. We think they're a good framework. Again, they're in conflict. Some of the framework, some of the recommendations are in conflict with the United States Department of Justice guidelines. Yes, but it's a good framework where we need to move forward with the recommendations, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner. We need to move on with our business tonight. We want to thank you for being here, but we need to move on. Did you want to speak?
So I struggle with what to say here. The AG's report, as Dylan said, was disgusting. It was horrible to read, and it was horrible to hear the experience that many of our community members went through protesting for basic civil rights. I am honestly tired of having this meeting. I'm tired of hearing the same stories over and over again. I'm tired of people yelling at each other and us not moving forward in a way that will heal and a way that will actually solve some of the issues that predated BLM going onto the streets, that we had in police reform task force, that predated that. These are issues that have been here for a long time, and it's enough. It's enough with having this venue being the place where we try and solve problems of our city, because it's not where we're supposed to be doing the work. I would hope and I would ask that members of BLM sit down with me sit down with members of the police, sit down with Dylan, sit down with whoever. Well, we'll sit down with me then. Sit down with whomever you feel comfortable sitting down with and work on solutions, because we're not gonna move forward this way. We need to acknowledge what has happened. We need to take those recommendations seriously.
Please, we listened to you.
And I am willing to work with anyone and everyone to do that. But it has to be together, and it can't be every other Tuesday for half an hour.
For sure. We've done that with past administrations.
Yeah.
I met with you.
Yeah, I know.
I met with Benita before. I met with Ron King before. I never met with Stafford before because he hadn't reached out yet and he got elected. I remember that was kind of cool because he hadn't reached out and he got elected.
All right.
The previous administration wanted to reach out to people, to reach out to community stakeholders who are part of this community, who are trying to make changes for our community. So a public safety commissioner should be reaching out. I don't have your number. You don't have my number though. I'm not calling 911.
All right. We have heard that. We have heard that. All right. Are you done?
And I am sorry for everything that you've done.
Thank you. So, our next. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for all your patience tonight. We need to move on with our meeting. We do have a presentation.